Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome back to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember nothing discussed today's financial advice. It's all for educational purposes only. And now that's out of the way, let's jump into the altcoin chart, shall we? So today we're going to take a quick recap on last week's altcoins that we covered, which were Litecoin, Fetch, and ETH. And then this week's requests are INJ, MTL, and Sol. And there's no surprise there because they seem to be doing the rounds on Twitter at the moment. Okay. So, jumping in, Litecoin, let's start with, okay? So Litecoin, we had the deviation that we were looking for last week. Again, if you want more details on this, go watch last week's video. I was talking one of our options would be, what's happening up here? Is the time to remain patient? And is it just a deviation and a stop run? And in the end, it was a deviation and a stop run, okay? So we can hide that now. Now, this is some information for you. Now, I talked about this on last week's video, so again, apologies if you're hearing this twice, but this is one thing that gets me is, so we had this daily close up here, okay? Strong daily candle, close up here, above the range highs, on high volume. So therefore, every influencer in the land and every fake trading guru will tell you that's a bullish breakout and it's up only from here. This is where you're long this breakout, and that's it, you go into new highs, okay? Or the next logical resistance, okay? But as I said to you last week, this for me is no trade. I will never trade a breakout. Okay? Especially in a sideways market. Never trade a breakout, because likelihood is all it's going to do is deviate like it has done here. Okay? So one thing these influencers will say is, look, high volume. Candle close above. Bullish. Okay? This high volume doesn't show us anything. All it shows us that there is high volume. That means there are lots of trades being taken within this candle, both longs and shorts, and take profits and squeezes. Everything happened within that candle. It doesn't tell you where the momentum's coming from. Okay? And it doesn't tell you what's happening after the event, whether this then continues to push up. So this is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Okay? But influencers will tell you that this is all you need. You know, break out of a pattern or whatever it is, and you've got your high volume. There's your confirmation, now long. But what happened if you followed what the influencers tell you to do? Well, you just got destroyed. Okay, chances are you put your stop just below this, and there you go. Okay, you've just been wrecked. And now you're panicking, which way is it going to go? Okay, so for me here, this zone right now is a no trade zone. Okay, so what you got to do is you got to think about where do you want to trade. Well, okay, well, if this pushes up, again, it's if this, then that. If this pushes up, retest this, then we start to see a low time frame structure change. Well, you've got a short setup. If this pushes up and you get no reaction and it continues with a upwards trend, then okay, well then we're going to look what happens at the highs again. Okay, do we get another deviation of this high, or does it genuinely continue up? Okay, if it starts to roll over from here, then I'd be looking down towards the EQ. Okay, the origin of this move, this last move. Okay, so this is what you got to plan out. When you're looking at things like this, is when it's in no man's land, there's no trade opportunity. Again, this is high time frame. If you're trading low time frame, you can trade, you know, there is a range within this if you're trading low time frame. But for me, altcoins, I prefer to swing trade them. Okay, so the only areas I'd be interested in is either here, here, or here. Outside of this, I've got no interest in trading this asset. Okay, so you set your alerts, you use TradingView, you set your alerts, come to the chart, once your alerts go off, and you see if there is your entry criteria. It's all right charting it, but then you've got to understand how to enter the trade, what you're looking for. Well, I'd be looking for a structure change, okay, to the downside. A series on a lower time frame of lower lows and lower highs. Okay, if I don't get that, then I don't have a trade setup. Okay, just like down here, if it comes down here and I don't get the structure change, then I've got no trade setup. Okay, simple as that. So this is what it is. Okay, Fetch is next. No real update on Fetch. Last time we did the video, we would have been here and we're now down here. Okay, and all we're doing is we're just trading this little local range. Okay, with inside this high volume node here. Okay. So same plans again. If this starts to roll over, look for a reaction within this zone, within this volume cluster. We can see here, we've got some volume in here. If that gives us the reaction, change to the upside, great. Then you've got long opportunities. If that doesn't give you the reaction, then I'll be looking back down towards this old range, okay? And again, once again, the origin of the impulse up. Okay, to the upside, if we get past this cluster, then I'm looking back towards value. Does it get acceptance back into value? Great, cool. Continue trading it up. Does it get rejected off value? Great, I'll trade it back down. It's just level to level. You know, this is not an upwards only market yet because it's not been confirmed. Yes, we've had our uptrends, but we've still got all this to contend with. Okay, you start breaking above this, then you've still got all this sticky zone to contend with. Okay, just level to level. Now again, if you want more detailed targets on this, then go watch last week's video. But realistically, there's no major update following on from what's happened within the last week. ETH, once again, no major update. Last week when we were recording the video, we were up here, and we've had this nice pullback, low time frame. If you got that trade, great, good trade. High time frame wise, didn't hit my area of interest. I'd be more interested in this, which would be that liquidity sweep up here. Be interested in taking that trade. If that doesn't happen and starts getting above this cluster with no reaction above these highs, then we can be looking for higher targets. Okay, to the downside, if it does start to roll over, then I'll be looking back into this zone. Ideally, a liquidity sweep of these lows. If you get that, great, then you've got a long trigger. If you don't get that and it continues to roll over, then back down towards this EQ / these lows here. Okay, then we'll be using the volume profile to see where the bulk of the volume is. Now we can see here, we've got bulk of the volume here, roughly 1567. Okay, now below that, then we start to come into a bit of a thin zone. Okay, which is effectively this thin zone here. Okay, so it's just level to level. Again, if you want more detailed analysis of this, go watch last week's video. Now, moving on, INJ. Let's have a look where we are. INJ. Not charted this one for a while. Last time we charted this, I think we were down in this cluster down here. But let's throw on a volume profile overall. Let's get rid of that volume bars at the bottom because it's completely useless. And we can see here, we're just outside of value here. Okay. So what would I be looking at here? Well, let's find the range. Let's move up to the 3-day here. Let's find out where the range is. The range for me would be here. Okay, zoom into the daily. Okay, so this is the range I'd be looking at. So what we've got here, got range, respect at the highs, respect at the lows, got reactions. So there's the range, and effectively all this was just one big deviation, and it's a high volume deviation as well. So it's a good deviation, which then would have given you confidence to have that trade. Okay, so what happens within this? Okay, well, again, where we are right now on a high time frame perspective, there's no trade for me there. So what would I be looking for? Well, first and foremost, pretty obvious on the chart if you can't see that you've got this initial high here, you've got 2 daily candle wicks into this high, then you've got this wick into this high again. Now, this wick did not take those highs. Okay, so therefore, we're safe to assume that we've got resting liquidity here and here. Okay, so this is more of a liquidity zone, resting stop losses. Okay, so if we do have another drive up, do we come into this zone, deviate back into the range, and then you've got a short trigger. Okay, liquidity grab up here again, similar concept to what happened on Litecoin. Liquidity grab back in, change your market structure, then you've got your short trigger all day long. Okay, and then you're just back to trading the range. You've got obviously the top part of the range, you've got the bottom part of the range. Okay, if this happens, then look down the EQ. Now the EQ lines up with the overall value area high from the coin's inception to where we are now. Okay, do we get a reaction there? Yes, no, great, cool, trade it, trade the top half of the range. If you get no reaction there and it continues rolling over, then unfortunately I'll be looking at these lows back into the range low, which is obviously the SR flip that happened here. Okay, now to the upside, if this doesn't give a reaction and it continues up, then we're just trading. We'll use this tool here. We've got a clear range here. Okay, so we've got two ranges. Run a volume profile within this, see what's happening, see where the bulk of the volume is. There we go. See here, we've got a point of control just here as well. Be interesting. So obviously if you do get that deviation, it comes up into the point of control, then rejects. Short trigger. Okay, if not, didn't mean to go that far back. There we go, let's bring it back. If not, then we're just back to trading this old range. Okay, it's not just a case of just longing and hoping for the best and, you know, longing all your breakouts and everything else. We've still got sticky zones to get through with high volume. Now, admittedly, the volume on INJ is quite well distributed, so we've got very little high volume nodes within this whole move. Okay, it's quite well distributed, is this. It's either because it's low volume in general, which it doesn't surprise me because most altcoins are illiquid as hell, or just good trading. Okay, so this is what I'll be looking for. That's if it goes to the upside, then we're back to trading this range. If it comes to the downside, range highs, ideal, liquidity sweep, come back down, EQ, range lows. Start losing those range lows, well, quite simply, you're just going back into this consolidation here. Okay, level to level. It's not overly complex, isn't this? Just level to level. Next, MTL. Not looked at this for a long time. Overall volume profile. See what's going on. Okay, so we can see there. Let's just throw it on log so we can see. Bulk of the volume is down here in this accumulation range before that led to the breakout. Makes sense. Okay, so we can see here that the lows of these come in the value area high. Okay, so it's an important level. It's an important level not to lose this level. Okay, so that is what coming in at 56, 57 cents, give or take. Okay, so let's have a look at this now. Let's see if we can find a range. Now we're on the daily chart here. It's down a little bit. Yep, good range to me. Let's throw it onto the 3-day chart so we can see this a bit more clearly. Cool, right. Volume profile, let's do it from the last high, which was March 21, to where we are now, and there we go. Okay, we can see what's going on. Magic. Okay, so we've got range highs, we've got respect to the range highs, deviate, back in, retest, move down, point of control gets created, move up into the range high, range low. Yeah, nice and easy, great. Right, so what would I be looking at here? Now, once again, no man's land. I'm not liking this price action here at the moment, if I'm being honest, because that means a lot of clustered stops there. If it does turn around here, then you're just going to go through those clustered stops straight into your lows again. So, if it does continue up, okay? Well, if we continue up, we've already had this candle here. So there's a wick to fill there at some point, okay? A lot of inefficiency within that wick. Again, this is on 3-day. That wick is present on the 1-day. Okay, 12-hour, 4-hour, yep. It's there all along. Okay, so if we do continue up, then we've got this inefficiency to fill. So first and foremost, we've got the EQ. Okay, do we come up to the EQ? Do we have a reaction again? Because we have had reactions around the EQ several times before. Not perfect. Now again, very low liquidity. Absolutely fine. Okay, no reaction here. Then ultimately, I'll be looking back up towards your range highs. Now your range highs has got nice confluence because you've got the value area high here, which therefore your whole value is within the range. Really nice range to trade is that. Okay, so for me, for shorts, not really interested in any of this zone in between the range. I'll be only interested in swing trades. That's what I'll be looking for shorts. Okay, up into the range highs, up into the value area high, liquidity grab above here, get down below, and then you've got a very simple short trigger right there. Okay, if you don't get that and it continues up, absolutely fine. We can look at higher prices. Okay, what if this starts to roll over from here and doesn't make it high? Possible. Well, if it does, again, don't like these stops here. So I'll be looking back down, and this is where, if you're bullish, then you need this to hold effectively. You've got resting liquidity below here, which will be into your range lows. Okay, so if this does roll over, then I'd be very interested in a play like that. And again, just for high time frame, trading the larger range. Okay, with this being a deviation. Okay, now it's in a good spot is this deviation. Does look good. You just didn't want to see how thin these books are and how poor this liquidity is, which is causing these wicks up, down, up, down. It's just very, very thin. You know, I don't understand people's obsession with coins like this when there's just no volume in the books. Okay, so I'd be interested in the lows. curious to see what happens around the EQ, but in this instance, based on how illiquid this is, it's not an interesting zone for me. I'd be curious about the highs. And again, you just trade in a range. Okay, start getting above those highs, then you'll be then effectively targeting your liquidity above this high first. And then, after that, this high. Okay, you get reactions at any of those levels. If you get a reaction, change your market structure, you're shorting. Simple. Exactly the same as up here. Okay, it's just all about planning out where you want to take a trade. Know where you want to take a trade, know where you don't want to take a trade. Right now, I don't want to take a trade there. Okay, but I would want to take a trade there, and I would want to take a trade there. So if it comes into any of these zones, I will then zoom into the chart on a lower time frame and see what's happening. Does it give me my entry criteria? Okay, that's MTL. Finally, Sol. Again, it's just doing the rounds again because it's had a small move up. What's the size of this move? 65%, 70%. Decent move. Got that. Great, well done. But once again, we're caught between two ranges. Okay, now I've been talking about these for a long, long time. Okay, we've got the old top range. Okay, that is currently significant resistance. Significant resistance. Okay, so if we do come up higher, oh, have we got another red line here? Get rid of that. If we do come up higher, then we've got stops now here, here, and here. Okay, so if we do come up, deviate, back down, then you've got an easy short trigger right there. Okay, you'll be coming up effectively into this volume cluster here. You get that, great, you got your short trigger. If you don't get that, then you're looking for higher, and then you'll be looking into trading where the volume is up here. Okay, now again, look, we can see here, there's your point of control. You get above that, you got a high volume node here, which is 43. You get above that, then you'll be looking at your overall EQ. Okay, so that would be triggers for shorts. Okay, and or take profits on longs if you did catch any of this move. Okay, if it starts to roll over from here, then got the origin of this move. And these lows here, that's what I'm curious about, because obviously we have got a range between these overall ranges. Now, if you get no reactions at these levels for longs, then ultimately I'm looking back down at that same zone. I've been talking about this for a long, long time, coming back down here. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying if it does happen, then let's see what the reaction is. And we look for longs. Okay, simple as that. It's just level to level. Okay, but right here now, I'm not interested in longing this because you're longing back into a very clear resistance. Very clear resistance. Yes, it's been tapped many, many times, but it's still resistance until proven otherwise. So what's your risk to reward here? It's non-existent. So longing here, unless you're playing the low time frame, there's no trade. Okay, I'm curious to see what happens at these highs. Take them, sweep, back down, great. Take them, don't come back down, continue up, great. We'll just play the top half of the range. Okay, level to level. It's only until these overall highs are taken that you're then in blue sky territory. Okay, that's when, you know, you can go as bullish as you want, you know, up only, long your breakouts, do all your bad habits that got you destroyed in this whole move down. Okay, just learn from your mistakes this time. Right, that'll do. Hopefully, if you've learned something today, then hit that like button. Let us know down in the comments what you want covering next week. And until next time, gang, as you were.